Did anyone expect the Minnesota Timberwolves to be this good this season? Well, actually, in the past seasons, they have expected them to be this good, but they just haven't. So this season, I think the only reason why we're really looking at the Minnesota Timberwolves as a surprise thing is because despite being extremely talented in the past, they've never put it together. So for the first year, when they put it together, we're actually surprised. Today, I'll be talking about how much the Timberwolves improved, how they got to this place, and why they are going to be a legit Western Conference contender for years to come. Maybe not this year, but in the coming years. Let's get straight into it. Okay, so when you talk about the Timberwolves, you have to talk about Karl Towns. Karl Towns has been one of the most efficient, high-volume scoring centers in the NBA in the past years. And, I mean, when it comes to the past years, he's been kind of doing it since his sophomore season. Even as a rookie, man was averaging 18 and 10 rebounds. Like, that's still pretty nasty. Anyway, Karl Towns has been doing this since 2016. It is no new thing for him to be a great player and actually lead this team to the couple wins that they did acquire in the past. I mean, look, before this year, the Timberwolves were ass every single year. They didn't even make the play-in last year, I don't think so. No, they didn't, bro. What the hell? Anyway, the Timberwolves were not winning games previously. And we all knew it was not on Karl Towns because he'd have these 25 and 10 seasons on great efficiency, and his team still could not put it together. So what really happened? Well, first, let's actually talk about how good Karl Towns has been. This year, Karl Towns is averaging 25 points a game, 9.8 rebounds, and 3.6 assists. Surprisingly, 24.6 points per game is his smallest points per game since 2018-19, but these are some of the most efficient points in the league. I mean, a 64% true shooting percentage is in the same ballpark in Nikola Jokic. Now, Nikola Jokic has like a 67% true shooting percentage. All those things aside, Karl Towns has been the second most efficient big man in the NBA this season. The 10 rebounds and 3 assists are nice, but again, I mean, the 3 assists that he's averaging is the least he has averaged per game since 2018-19. I don't understand how Karl Towns' stats have been going down, even the assist one, and his team has gotten better. Well, it's pretty easy to understand why his team has gotten better. It's gotten more talented, it has gotten better coaching, and it has gotten more defense. So although Karl Towns' numbers seem like they are a little bit, resident sleeper compared to the previous seasons he's had, I mean, they're really not, because they're actually winning games at this point. When we talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves, we start thinking Karl Towns, Anthony Edwards, and D'Angelo Russell, but actually most of the Minnesota Timberwolves' success this year has been from role players. What I mean by that is that they've had talented teams like this in the past. Had one with Karl Towns and Andrew Wiggins. They had one just last year with D'Angelo Russell on it for a good chunk of the year. And before that, Wiggins was on it. And Wiggins, by a lot of people, is a very, he's a talented player. He's an all-star, right? So anyway, they've always had like a big three or a big two of 2 really good talented players or 3 really good talented players, but it's never worked. The reason why that is because of coaching and defense. Let's talk about their defense first. Their defense, Minnesota is never going to be a good defensive team, and let's actually see how good they are in defensive efficiency this year. So right now, the Minnesota Timberwolves are ranked 13th among the best defenses in the league. Yeah, that's around league average, but when you compare it to previous seasons, I mean, it's actually great and something that they have not achieved since basically the Kevin Garnett era. Other than that, I mean, they had that one season with Jimmy Butler, which they were pretty good on defense, but I think why we knew they were pretty good on defense. It's because they had Jimmy freaking Butler. Nonetheless, they haven't had a good defensive team, as in like an above league average defensive team, since Kevin Garnett. Yes, that's like 15 years, bro. That's nasty. Since the Minnesota Timberwolves could finally find some defense within their organization and make a couple good trades to get good defenders, it's actually worked out. We know how dynamic this offense is with Anthony Edwards and D'Angelo Russell and Karl Towns, and it goes down the line of the amount of offensive talent that they have. Patrick Beverley has been a very underrated add to this Minnesota Timberwolves team. He brings effort, but more importantly, he brings leadership. Karl Towns is one hell of a player, but by no means is he known as a leader to this point in his career. So when you bring a vet like Patrick Beverley, who has been through the up and downs of not only the league, but also in life, considering, I mean, he had a kid at like 19 years old and was still not in the NBA, then, leadership can go a long way. And I really think that's what the Minnesota Timberwolves needed. So yes, although the top 3 of the Minnesota Timberwolves will always carry the offensive load and will always get the glitz and glamour of Hollywood just because they score a ton of points and they do it efficiently and it's entertaining, the core of this Minnesota Timberwolves team is defense. How they've made it this far is that yes, while having an elite offensive trio like they've had for multiple years, they finally got defense to back it up. The 13th ranked defense in the NBA, I mean, that's better than the Denver Nuggets. And the Denver Nuggets are ahead of them in the standings. And lastly, let's talk about what Chris Finch has done for this Minnesota Timberwolves team. Chris Finch has made sure to try and take the most out of everybody. I mean, when he saw Vando in the locker room, he tried to make the most out of him by not just trying to put an outside shot on him or just cater to his weaknesses, but just try and amplify his strengths. That's what he did with McDaniels. That's what he did with Jared Vanderbilt. That's what he's trying to do with Okogie, even though he's been hurt for a very long time. And that's what he wanted Patrick Beverley to help him do, is make sure every player plays to their strengths and not necessarily just to refine some weaknesses. Because in the end of the day, I mean, Jared Vanderbilt is never going to have a jump shot. So why teach him it? It's a very old coaching thought process to not shoot threes with players who can't shoot threes. You know, there's a bunch of players right now that can't shoot threes that take them, like Draymond Green and Andre Iguodala. Nonetheless, the coach is just making sure that they play up to their most potential by making sure that they play to their strengths. It's a very simple coaching tactic, but it's something that is very overlooked in a three-point heavy era. You know, and even though I've been touching on the defense and team play and coaching that has very well impacted this team, let's make sure to bat an eye at the offensive production. Because of the top 3 on their team, it's really good offensive production. Now, is it elite? For a trio, I wouldn't say it's elite. I would say, you know, Jokic, MPJ, and Jamal Murray are a better trio. There's multiple better trios in the NBA when it comes to offensive efficiency. However, this offense is still pretty damn good. Karl Towns averaging 24 points a game, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists basically, is really good for his team, also while being the second most efficient center in the NBA, behind, the MVP, Nikola Jokic. Then you also have D'Angelo Russell giving you his nightly 18 points a game and 7 assists. It's very impactful playmaking that they definitely needed that they weren't getting out of Andrew Wiggins. And lastly, Anthony Edwards putting up about 20 a night on league average efficiency. That's really good scoring and solid scoring at that. Although Anthony Edwards is a very up and down player, that's going to come with a young player. And to average 21 points a game in your sophomore season is really good for a first overall pick. So yeah, although I do talk about the defense, the team chemistry, and the team play, and the coaching, and all that stuff that has been very integral to the Minnesota Timberwolves' success, let's not forget about their offensive production. It has been really good. So thank you guys for watching the video. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Watch my previous video in which I talked about Cade Cunningham possibly being the Rookie of the Year. And yeah, peace out.
Hey, come on, I got a bag on me. You try to take it, leave you stinking like your last homie. She kinda cakey, little baby, put that ass on me. But I ain't that horny, do you got some cash for me? Why every time you ask him that, bitches act funny. And you keep trying to hold the strap, you won't slap for me. You too happy, I can tell you never had money. Every time you get on live, gotta flash money.